Gosh, I wish I owned this mailbox. It's a potential gold mine. The owner put this mailbox here and constructed it out of concrete and put this little eagle on top because his previous mailboxes kept getting destroyed. Well, it wasn't long until this mailbox, too, had a drunk driver come along and destroy it. And when the drunk driver hits this mailbox, it's curtain times for this car. This car is not going to go away. This one just happened recently. However, let me tell you about, in this video, what I would have also added if I were the owner of this property. My first suggestion for this driveway entrance in landscaping is I would have had a mirror image statue on the other side of the driveway to add balance to the entrance. This would offer drunk drivers the opportunity to have a 2-for-1 sale. Now, if you have your 2 pillars in, you should have some landscaping around them. The landscaping should be low-growing shrubs, and the reason for that is you don't want to add any more obstacles to your egress from your property. It's hard enough to see out of here with these pillars, so you want to have low-growing shrubs. Now, I suggest the following low-growing shrubs, and then I'll tell you why. I would suggest that you plant lilacs, viburnums, and red and yellow twig dogwoods. The reason that I would plant those particular shrubs at this location is that they're very easy to control and prune and trim. In fact, the drunk driver will be helping you by trimming them back to ground level. And he will be responsible for the damages to the plants. So really, you don't need to really replace them, but he's liable for the replacement because you're entitled to be made whole. Now I'm going to tell you a little story about how hard you can really prune some of these bushes back. And the example I'm going to use is the viburnum. Years ago, my kids planted 500 viburnums in a field. They had rooted cuttings that they grew, and they planted them out. And about 6 months later, they went back and they looked at them. They were doing pretty good. Well, the next year, there was a little bit of weeds in the field. And my elderly father, who was 85 at the time, had very few jobs that he could do or do very well. So we gave him the job just mowing. All he had to do was mow up one row and down one row, up a row and down the row. Well, he wasn't just satisfied with that. He had to mow up and down the row, and he was going to get as close as he could to everything. And if he didn't see something in the row, there was nothing there. Well, these viburnums had gotten covered over pretty well with some weeds because the weed control wasn't that good. And so he figured there was nothing there, and he chopped them all the way down with a brush hog to the ground. I mean, he scalped them. So my boys come in to me and they say, "Oh, Pop, your dad just killed our viburnums and blah, blah, blah." I said, whoa, let's go out and take a look at them. So sure enough, we go out, and man, I'll tell you, that was a butcher job. I don't think a beaver could have done a better job. I mean, and my father was like a sweet-toothed beaver in a chocolate forest when he was on top of that lawnmower. He really liked it. So I said to my boys, well, it doesn't look that bad. Pop, they're down to the ground. I said, listen, this is a tough plant. We'll see what happens. Well, sure enough, a couple weeks later, each of these plants started putting up multiple sprouts. And believe it or not, 4 years later, we were selling these particular viburnums at a premium because they were so well branched. You could plant some slow-growing weeping Japanese maples also in this area as well. Another consideration for this location is that, as you can see, there's a swale here, and this collects water. So whatever plants you want should have the ability to withstand water, and that's why the viburnums, the lilacs, and the red twig and yellow twig dogwoods will work in this particular location. This video is brought to you by Highland Hill Farm. We grow and sell screening and buffering trees for privacy and sound barriers.